So let's say you found a skeleton. How would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
Hey everybody, welcome to Jackson with Jackson number, I don't know, 33 I think? Yeah, it is. It's 33. Look at that. I can do math. Creationism is lame and dumb. Look, I know it's kind of a lame title. I was kind of pressed for time when I was making this thumbnail, so you get what you get. I am here, of course, as usual, with Jackson Wheat. Jackson, how are you today? Jackson, I feel like you're always talking about fish. Stop lying. Alright, so... Good. Now, I have a couple of things to, Oh, and I might not have unmuted you. Hooray! Dapper's a professional. Jackson?
Drink.
Jackson's doing fine. Don't worry about it.
Yay!
Okay, now we got a couple of things to say before we get into this. One is, hey, there's apparently a severe thunderstorm rolling in here because we're in the middle of Monsoon 1. Not to be confused with Monsoon 2, because the Sonora Desert is the only place on Earth that gets not one, but 2 monsoons a year.
Yay!
So that's always fun. In addition...
2 for the price of 2?
Yes. In addition, that means that, yeah, the power, it could just go out. So, if the power goes out, and the stream just starts buffering for a very long time, what I will try to do is hop onto the chat with my phone to tell everyone that, like, oh yeah, the power is just gone. And then I will see if I can try to find some way to end the stream on my end. Who knows, right? Also, I want to say that I received a gift of 2 packs of creme brulee almonds, as well as a sort of 2370s style Starfleet Delta communicator badge. It does not work as a communicator. However, it is extremely accurate to what was worn on the shows, which also, spoiler alerts, those props weren't actual communicators. So, you know.
Yes.
I know. And so this came with a note that says, Dapper, love all you do. I don't have a Twitter, but I have a YouTube. I'm watching every Bent with Kent. It keeps me company at 5 a.m. Keep it up. Enjoy your gift from Matthew. Thank you very much, Matthew. I really do appreciate it. I've not gone through the almonds completely, but I've gone through a fair bit of them, and they are delicious. And this badge is extremely cool. It's also extremely, like, perfect. I had someone ask me if it was actually a 3D render I had made, because it was, like, so smooth and shiny and perfect. So, you know. Fitz of Ark Encounter Fossil Hunting Rage, who's been a member for 12 months, I was at the Amulette level, says, celebrating my 1 year of membership to Dapper Dinosaurs denomination of the Church of Darwin. With a Godzilla, a Mothra, and a King Ghidorah, unfortunately a pelagic tunicate, which is just gross, and an AIG. So we'll take a drink for that. Alright, well, it's an AIG is a bag of dicks. There you go. Jackson.
That's me.
We are learning about how birds are not dinosaurs because of things that don't make any sense as far as arguments go for why birds are not dinosaurs. Are you ready to dive back into this?
Sometimes you just gotta go off vibes.
Yeah. Yep. In fact, that is basically what it seems like he's doing. He just doesn't pass the vibe check as a bird. We just got done being told how apparently Archaeoraptor, a alleged fossil that no paleontologist was willing to touch with a 10-foot pole, and that instead was published on by National Geographic, a not scientific publication, a pop sci publication. We're told how that was supposedly some big scandal, that the fact that no scientist in the world fell for Archaeoraptor, but a pop sci magazine did, is apparently a scandal for paleontology and evolutionary biology. I can't figure out how, as, I mean, I feel like that's exactly what's supposed to happen, is scientists don't fall for it. But, you know, sure. We have one more thing to read before we get right into this. Let's see. Science Kimono Dragon Nerd, who's been a member for 3 months and is at the Amulette level, says AIG are a sack of spinunculins. There we go. We'll take a drink. And we have a Godzilla and a Ghidorah and a Mothra in there, too. I am, in fact, drinking hard Mountain Dew Baja Blast. There you go, everybody. Jackson, what are you drinking?
Sweet tea.
With vodka?
No, with
No.
sugar in it.
It's already got sugar in it if it's sweet tea, man. Come on.
Yeah.
It's like saying
That's it.
It's like saying I'm drinking coffee with coffee bean extract. Of course you are.
I mean, that's really all that's in it. It's just a sweet tea.
Okay.
There's no added flavors or preservatives. It is just tea off the vine, picked, from
Does tea even grow on vines? Is that what it grows on? I don't actually know.
I don't. Well, I mean, I guess it depends, right? A lot of people put lots of stuff in hot water and then like steep it.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm assuming since you're doing sweet tea that it's like black tea that you brewed and
probably not.
chilled. So, anyone who knows where tea leaves for black tea come from, is it a vine? Is it a bush? Is it a tree? What is it? Let me know, because I sure don't know.
Some people do like dandelion tea down here.
Seems weird. I've had dandelion salad.
I don't do it.
But anyway, here's Bad Jackson.
Okay, and that was feathered dinosaurs, it says. In the article, it says feathers for T-Rex. New bird-like fossils are missing what? Missing links in dinosaur evolution.
You notice how he's still doubling down on this whole, like, we're going to go pop sci?
Yeah.
Okay, so Jillian Estrogen Stress Friend says it grows on trees, although they're usually cropped to bush height. Okay. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, this is I don't think in all the videos that we've ever watched has he actually like cracked open a technical paper. It has.
Yeah, I don't.
Has he?
I don't remember
think so.
him having done so, but that's, I guess, technically not the same. Him not having done so.
I don't believe that he has. Not a single time. I'm pretty sure that every single time it has been either it's predominantly been National Geographic or like something he read in some random like Daily Mail article or something. Like it's always just been some kind of pop sci thing.
Yeah. We got a few things here. Also, Alex Markle says, sweet tea is the biggest lie ever if you don't put copious amounts of sugar in it. Well, Jackson, being a guy from down in Louisiana, I am sure that you put enough sugar in there.
I just got. I'm very lazy, so I just got it from the store.
Jackson, you are losing your
I
Southerner
don't do my
cred.
own. What?
You're losing your Southerner cred.
Listen, if they don't want me, they don't have to have me. That's all I'm saying.
All right, turn in your.
I don't
Southerner
claim
card.
them. They don't have to claim me.
But can you at least make some good barbecue?
Where I am living right now, no, not really. I've never. I don't have like grills or
Jackson,
anything like that.
You make yourself a good bowl of grits, right?
I really don't eat grits.
Oh my
I
goodness.
like oatmeal. Oatmeal's good. I don't really do grits.
Jackson,
Gumbo.
I feel like the South.
Tear up me some gumbo.
All right, but I still feel like the South might just like exile you.
I don't actually know a whole lot of people who eat grits down here. Most people I know,
Well,
maybe not most.
Grits
It's
are
like
great.
maybe 50-50
Grits are great.
on grits.
Grits are one of the best things. Everyone should eat grits. Anyway, Science Kimono Dragon, who's been a member for 3 months and is at the annual level, says AIG or a Saka. Oh no, we already read that one. Naramdaputz, who's been a member for 10 months and is at the Tetrapod level, says AIG is an organization of unpleasant members. That's true. We'll take a drink. Matthew K., who is also at the annual level, says, just wanted to show my appreciation for your work. Much love, my friend. With a live long and prosper and metal horns and a heart for the Empire. Although he then did call me Petak. So, I don't know. But then there's an AIG as a bag of dicks and a Godzilla and a Mothra. So we will take a drink for that. Thank you so much. Dutch Tunicate Demonic Selection for $5 says, this tea talk reminds me, I want to investigate if I can grow a tea plant out of my aquarium. I have no idea. That is an interesting question. Savage Pinnipetasaurus Cobra, who's been a member for 20 months, says AIG is a bag of trunks generally located at bush height. Drink with that. Roshina, non-flocculated killer for $1.99 says those strands in sun tea are bacteria. Yeah, sun tea is a dangerous kind of a thing. Maybe don't make or drink sun tea. I don't know. Look, I'm not your doctor, but like, seems like a bad idea. Anyway.
Look at a baby T-Rex there. It's all fuzzy.
Yeah, it is fuzzy. It's speculative. But you know what else is speculative? The skin. That's the thing. How do you know it had
True.
skin? You ever seen a living
We don't
baby
know it
T-Rex?
had those colors either.
Yeah. The thing is, okay, so could T-Rex have had feathers? Well, it's part of a group of animals that typically had feathers. We also know other members of its that were very close kin, like even in like the same family, like Eutyrannus or Nonoxaurus, either had feathers definitively or would have had to have feathers in order to survive where they lived. And so the question then is, okay, well, what about T-Rex? And the answer is, I don't know, but here's a few things. One, we only have skin impressions from at least seemingly adult individuals. Two, none of those skin impressions have feathers. But three, all of them are from places that are the least likely to have feathers if an animal has feathers and scales in a mixed integumentary pattern. So, what does that mean for adult T-Rex? I tend to lean towards it probably didn't have feathers. But I can't prove that to you. I can't even really say that you're wrong if you put feathers on an adult T-Rex. But what does it mean for a juvenile T-Rex? Well, nothing, right? Many animals today have different amounts or different types of integument as juveniles versus adults, right? So when chickens are born, they don't have pennaceous contour feathers. They have fluffy down. When elephants are born, they're actually pretty furry, and they tend to lose most of that fur as they age. And so, what is the case for T-Rex neonates? I would say that a downy fuzz is reasonable, but it's certainly not required by the data. So, this is a reasonable but speculative reconstruction of a very, very young T-Rex. That is all it is.
Like a baby chicken, fuzzy down, baby ducky, and they've never found this on a T-Rex, but
True, take a drink. Of course, they've never found eyeballs in a T-Rex either. We keep reconstructing them with eyeballs. It's weird, isn't it?
True.
Yeah.
he drew it anyway. Was it with the theory?
Yes, that is indeed why you reconstruct things in the way that you do, is because you have an internal model of what's likely the case for that animal based on some kind of understanding of biology. What I want to know is, what does Charles Jackson think the alternative is for making models, right? Because it's not like creationists don't have their own paleontological reconstruction. The Ark Encounter is full of them. In fact, some of them are really high quality, both from an artistic standpoint and in some cases where we know what taxon is being reconstructed. They're actually really accurate in terms of a paleontological reconstruction. Like, shockingly so in some cases. Of course, they get the integument wrong on all the pterosaurs and most of the dinosaurs, but apart from that, like, it's really good work in the creation and the Ark Encounter. But that's just as much speculative. So where's the line? Jackson, you know where I think the line actually is?
Where do you think the line actually is, Dapper?
I think it's any speculation that they don't like because it's based on a part of evolution that they don't like is not okay. But if it's based on a part of evolution that they don't really mind, then it's fine. So, for instance, if you find a cat skull, they're okay with you reconstructing that animal looking more or less like a cat, having like a long tail and fur and whatnot, because they think that that's probably what cats looked like, and because they're okay with using things like phylogenetic bracketing within cats or even mammals broadly, right? Like when they have their reconstruction of like if you were to say like, oh hey, what does a triconodont look like? And I've seen Dan Biddle at least just use a picture of a shrew as a stand-in for a triconodont without any complaint about it being speculative because we don't know if triconodonts had fur, even though technically we don't. It's fine with that because it's an extinct mammal. But because they don't want there to be any connection between birds and other theropods, suddenly here we're like, oh well, I don't know. This doesn't seem okay. Yeah. Okay.
Look at what it says about it. It's a missing link between terrestrial dinosaurs and birds that could actually fly.
The ironic thing is that that's actually true. of at least the Microraptor
Yeah.
half of the fossil. I'm just going to take a
Yeah.
drink for him being ironically correct about this. Because remember, one half of that fossil was Microraptor, an animal which is in fact a missing link in the evolution of flight in dinosaurs. Which is just chef's kiss perfect. Right? It would be sort of like imagine if Piltdown Man was a fake, but it was a fake based off of like a Neanderthal skull instead of a Homo sapien skull. But like it was a Neanderthal skull with like a chimpanzee jawbone. Okay, that's still technically a fake, but you know what the Neanderthal skull is? It is in fact a fossil hominin that is significant in the story of human evolution. So sure,
Yeah.
maybe it wouldn't have been the thing we thought it was, but it was still something really important, and that's basically what's happening here. Goodness.
1999, the Archaeoraptor leonengensis was the missing link that proved once and for all, you stupid creationists.
Oh my goodness. First of all, no one involved in the Archaeoraptor debacle was directing this at creationists. Okay. If you're a creationist out there and you're watching this, this is me speaking to you directly. No one gives a shit about your stupid ideas in science. No one's writing their papers to disprove you, except for some weirdos who like to do it as a kind of a hobby, or who think that the common misunderstandings you have might be a jumping off point to do some extra science education. I'm doing this because it's basically I used to be one of you, and I'm not a scientist, so I'm not busy doing real science. Science is not out there trying to prove evolution any more than NASA is out there trying to prove the globe Earth to the flat earthers. Roshin, a non-flocculated killer for $1.99 says, "Can we donate self-made coprolites to science?" You can try. You can certainly try. I don't know which scientist will accept those. Yeah, C Design Proponents points out that the fact that many biologists don't even know creationists are a thing anymore. Yeah, many biologists are surprised to find that young Earth creationists or creationists in general are like still a thing. And by creationists in this case, I mean anti-evolutionist creationists. Because obviously, if you're someone who's like, yeah, I believe that God is the general creator of the universe, but that evolution is true and whatnot, then okay, sure, have fun with that. So yeah, it really is the same thing as the flat earthers, right? Like, why doesn't NASA do? And then they list all these things that they say to them would prove the globe Earth. And the simple answer is because no one cares about you. You don't matter to NASA. Creationists, you don't matter to real scientists, except for the ones who basically do this as a hobby, like Dr. Dan or Dr. Zach B. Hancock. That's their hobby. That's not their research. No research is done with the eye to prove evolution is true. That already happened in broad strokes like 150 years ago. We're over it.
And this was thrown in our face.
No,
I don't believe you.
no, it wasn't. What happened was a magazine published a thing that you took personally.
When he says it was thrown in our face, they mean they throw the National Geographic article in their own faces. Is what I think you mean.
Yeah, basically, creationists came over, saw this, and were like, rah, 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 rah. And no one noticed, for the most part. Yeah.
You must really finally give up now. We have the beautiful chart from 1998, and now
Just
we've got
drink.
this. And Stephen Serkis. Notice the picture modeled by Stephen
who
Serkis.
is not a paleontologist.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen
Correct.
Serkis is not a paleontologist. He's just a dude.
Remind me, what did all of the paleontologists say about this?
They said, "Nair,
Yeah.
this is not this the very fishy fossil you've got here. It does not seem real, not authentic, because there is a big market in China for fossils, and if a fossil that is 100% quote quote going to go for more on the market, the one that is only 50%. So there's an incentive to make fake fossils like this."
Mhm.
And all the paleontologists, like Zhu Jing, the woman I met, I can't remember her name. They all looked at it and they said, no, this isn't it. But Stephen Marcus, who is not a paleontologist, Julia Clark, there you go, that's her name. Julia Clark, another paleontologist, she looked at it and said, no. Steven Zerkis, just a dude, amateur, fossil collector dude. He was paid like $80,000 for it, something insane. A crazy amount of money.
Yeah. Fade to Grade, No True Dynamite, who's been a member for 26 months and is at the amniote level, says, while we're speculating, I'm going to propose that as much as 30% of an adult male T-Rex's body mass is AIG, with a citation needed. And we will take a drink for that. Thank you very much.
The quote is by Stephen Zerkis.
Yeah, it is. As we said, not any paleontologist, because they couldn't get any paleontologists to give that kind of quote, because they all laughed it out of the room.
And his wife and him were the ones that really pushed this fossil as the missing link. We can now say birds are theropods.
We could have said it without that fossil, and we were saying it without that fossil.
Yeah.
That was just basically the 2002 or whatever.
The what?
When was the Archaeoraptor thing? When did that go down?
Yeah, it was like late 90s, which by this point, it already had a bunch of feathered dinosaur fossils out of China, like the same place.
Yeah.
That were like Sinornithosaurus and Caudipteryx and Bipiosaurus and all these other dinosaurs, all these non-avian theropods that have feathers.
Yeah. This is just the 1999 version of clickbait.
Yeah.
That's all this is.
Well, what's a theropod?
Theropods are a clade of dinosaurs that have a number of synapomorphies that I'm probably not going to go over all of them, but one is like a promaxillary fenestra, a notch between the maxilla and the premaxilla. They have, there's a few others, but basically, if it's bipedal and sharp-toothed and a dinosaur, and it's not from the earliest Triassic of South America, then you probably have a theropod on your hands. So
good caveat. I like that one.
Yeah, because I got to make the exception for possible Herrerasaurids to mess things up.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, It's not from South America, Anyway, so I'm a theropod, Ceratosaurus. T-Rex is a theropod. Eagles are theropods. Carcharodontosaurus is a theropod. Allosaurus is a theropod. Velociraptor, theropod. They're basically the main clade of meat-eating dinosaurs. In fact, they're really the only clade of meat-eating dinosaurs that themselves had some non-meat-eating varieties. Now, that's with the caveat that all animals will eat meat under the right circumstances. So, we have some evidence to think that some hadrosaurs might have eaten clams here and there. Okay, cool.
The two-legged dinosaur, walks on the hind legs like a bird does.
So far, so good. I'll take a drink. That is technically true. Although I would point out that many bipedal dinosaurs are not theropods. All right, Abstacanus lupus familiaris chihuahuensis Ryu for $1.99 says, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled AIG. Thank you very much. I'll take a drink for that. All right, here we go.
We can say that birds are theropods just as confidently as we can say humans are mammals. And we classify as mammals because, we have hair instead of feathers or scales, nurse the young with mother's milk and all of that. So
I want to point out something right now, because he's right about this, right? He is right. The reason that humans are classified with mammals is because there are certain characteristics that make an animal a mammal, and humans have all those things. Humans have a whole lot of other traits that most mammals don't, but those aren't the traits that make you a mammal, right? So he went through a few of them. Hair, that's a big one. Nursing young on milk is another one. There's also the dentariscomosal jaw joint, the differentiation between lumbar and thoracic vertebrae in terms of the dorsal vertebrae. There's the inner ear bones forming the malleus, incus, and stapes, instead of, the two of those being jaw bones. There's a few other things, but those are some of the most major ones. Heterodont dentition, all that stuff is really important for being a mammal. And humans have all of them. But consistently, when creationists try to argue that birds aren't dinosaurs, what they don't do is define which characteristics make a dinosaur, and then show why birds don't have those. Instead, they point to those features that don't make a dinosaur that birds also have. So, for instance, with humans, right, you can say, okay, well, humans being mammals, but yeah, okay, sure, but they can walk upright, and they have gigantic swollen brain cases, and they have chins. Okay, great. None of those are things that make you not a mammal. And that's what they're going to do with birds, right? They'll say, well, birds, they have these fancy feathers and a pulley system muscle to connect their wings. It's like, okay, great. And none of that was a part of being a dinosaur. You have to show why they're not dinosaurs by showing why they don't meet the original definition for dinosaur.
Or who was it?
Oh, sorry.
Who said the birds don't have an open acetabulum? Who was that?
Brian Thomas.
Was that uncooked? That. Oh, it was? Okay. Okay, that's what it was.
Look, I'm sure Raw Matt also said that, right? Because,
I thought Uncooked Matthew said it at some point, but
he
yeah,
probably did, but as far as I know, the only time I've directly responded to that claim that I know of was with Brian Thomas, and my response to that was to basically just have a long slideshow of bird pelvises with the acetabulum pointed out. Because they're all open. I mean, I think like ostriches or something have like a mostly closed acetabulum that closes like as they age. So like, okay, sure, that's a secondary character. We can tell because it happens as they are aging into adults. Roshina non-flocculated Keller for 199 says, what is the tastiest theropod dinosaur? So among extant theropod dinosaurs, it's honestly probably just chicken. At least in terms of like you making dinner. I actually do think duck is probably tastier if you do it well. But the problem is that chickens are super easy to cook well. Most other birds aren't. And so, like, they're tricky. Like, it's very easy to make your duck way too dry or way too greasy or whatever. Which is why I would say that overall, on average, probably chicken. Eddie McCoy's arguing for pigeon. I don't know about pigeon. Maybe squab, though, which I guess is just a pigeon, but it's like the difference between veal and beef. Squab is pigeon veal. So... yeah, bet you didn't know that, Jackson.
I sure didn't. I can only... anytime I hear the word veal, I think of the South Park episode.
Yeah, that's fair. So squab, basically, when a pigeon is growing up, there's a period when it's almost exactly at adult height. Like, it has very little, like, more mass to gain, but its wing muscles aren't really developed very well, so it still can't fly. And so what you do to get squab is basically you grab the pigeon at that age, and that's when you cook and eat it. Because... it has about as much meat as an adult pigeon, but that meat isn't stringy because it hasn't been going around flying. So, yeah, which is basically the same idea as veal, right? You don't let it exercise to keep the meat as tender as possible. In this case, though, you don't have to do anything in particular because it's just not exercising naturally. It's just sitting there because it's a baby bird. Savage Pinnipetasaurus Cobra for $2 says, AIG is a sack of male members of genus Gallus. Very nice. Very nice. All right, here we go.
Blooded. By the way, birds are warm-blooded. That's why they want so much to believe that dinosaurs are blooded too.
Yep, but the nice thing is that we have direct evidence of that, right? Like, we have things like bone histology and evidence of, like, behavior that indicate that at least many theropod dinosaurs had very high metabolisms. And that's basically what being warm-blooded is your metabolism is so high that you can make enough heat that you don't need to use the sun to heat yourself up. That's basically what it is. And
their growth rate is, as you said, the growth rate of theropods is consistent with warm-bloodedness. Like, and the funny thing is, they do the creationist. I mean, they will do the thing where they pull up like, the growth rate of sauropods is too slow. So you expect me to believe that birds got their warm-bloodedness from dinosaurs when sauropods, or clearly cold-blooded? Like, wow, we weren't talking about sauropods, were we?
No, we were not.
Theropods. Oh, would you look at that? Oh, crazy.
Yeah, that's another thing that'll happen a lot is creationists will point to something that isn't theropods and be like, well, they don't have any of these features. And it's like, yeah, that's true. Oh, by the way, Joshua Geese just gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships. So let's take 5 drinks here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we'll add 5 to the board for the donations. Look at that, we're up to 11%. Also, Asta Misothermy, do you mean room temperature review for 199 says, Also, mesothermy. Yes. Yeah, mesothermy is basically when you have a limited ability to control your body temperature independent of external temperatures. And then Roshan, a non-flocculated Keller for $4.99 says, "Is YouTube taking away my trick? AIG is a bag of dicks." No, they are not taking it away. That trick worked just fine. Thank you very much. We'll take a drink for it. All right, here's some more Bad Jackson.
Not totally sure. There's some evidence, but that does not mean that dinosaurs evolved into birds.
Okay, great. But dude, the thing I would really like to know from creationists is how much more evidence would you like? What would constitute sufficient evidence? Not necessarily to conclude that birds evolved from dinosaurs, but just that they are dinosaurs, in the same way that whales are mammals. Because creationists accept that whales are mammals.
True. Dinosaurs may have feathers, and dinosaurs may have been warm-blooded, and dinosaurs may have had all the internal morphological characteristics consistent with, birds. But that doesn't mean that they evolved into birds.
You know what, though? I'm willing to spot them that. I'm willing, even as ridiculous as all of that is, I'm willing to say, sure, fine. Okay. But can you at least get on board with birds being dinosaurs? And the answer, to be fair, for some of them, yes. Like Matt McLean. Matt McLean is fully on board. He's like, yeah, birds are just a type of theropod, just like whales are a type of mammal, and so are humans a type of mammal. That doesn't mean that I think that they're related genetically to, like, Velociraptor or T-Rex. I don't think that, he says. Just like I don't think that whales or humans are genetically and ancestrally related to, say, I don't know, giraffes. Think mammal, right?
Or you could take the David Minton approach and flip it, and be like, oh, well, dromaeosaurs are definitely birds.
Yes, let me illustrate this with a terrible, terrible reconstruction that gets rid of the killing claw that is like the thing about raptors, and then also getting rid of their teeth and giving them a beak, even though we know they didn't have a beak. Yeah, David Minton was a liar. And I don't care that he's dead. He was a liar when he was alive. And the fact that he lives. Yeah, the fact that he died doesn't change that. Also, the fact that he almost certainly died of COVID-19 while working for an anti-vax organization makes me really super not care. So, yeah.
Now they drew another chart, and at the front, there's the Archaeoraptor, the new, proudly leading the parade. This is
By the way, by they, he means the people working for National Geographic. Not a single ever paleo artist hired by a paleontologist to illustrate this.
Scene from one of the Jurassic Park movies here, The Lost World. It says, obsolete model.
Dutch Tunica Demonic Selection for $2 with their 20th super chat. Thank you so much. It says, you forgot eurythermy and halothermy. Look, I'm not going to be able to go through everything that ends in thermy. We got to get through the most common things like ectothermy, endothermy, and mesothermy.
Baby T-Rex in 1997's Lost World Jurassic Park probably would have feathers if the movie were made today.
I mean, yeah, there's a fair chance. I don't know. Was there a baby T-Rex in any of the Jurassic World movies?
So
I don't remember one.
I want to say, were there? I feel like I want to say yes, but I'm actually not. No,
I know
there
was.
weren't. No, I don't think so. No, there weren't.
Yeah, there was one in the third.
Only in the
Jurassic
second
Park.
movie.
Or was the second? Yeah, it was the second movie. Yeah, the second.
Yeah,
Jurassic
there was
Park
second Jurassic Park, not the Jurassic World. However, none of the dinosaurs in the first or second Jurassic World had feathers, and then they were like, "Hey, what if just to like throw a bone to the people who've been saying for decades they should have feathers? What if we put feathers on one single theropod, the Archaeoraptor?"
No, but they also had
That was
feathers
it.
on Therizinosaurus, didn't they?
They may have.
Or was it a Dinochirus?
Therizinosaurus, Jurassic. Blah 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 blah. Let's see.
For
Did it have?
20 beaver bucks with their first super chat ever. Thank you so much, Jopnik. Jopnik says, the Cornish cross is evidence of intelligent design. Human apes with their intelligence selected for deliciousness.
Oh, you're right. It did have feathers.
There, take that, Jackson. and I didn't even see that
Okay.
movie. I only saw the trailers.
Well, you did not. You didn't miss much.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's why I haven't gone back to watch it. I think I
I
actually have
mean-
access to it because I think I have access to like my dad's like iTunes movies or something, and I just don't care.
The only thing about it was like I say this like because the first one's one of my favorite movies of all time, and so like I enjoyed like seeing like Dr. Grant and Victor Sattler like back on the big screen, but I was also like this movie's like 3 hours of ridiculousness, and this one little side plot does not justify the rest of the movie. So I'm sorry, no.
Fair. Roshina non-flocculated Keller for $4.99 says, I thought they lost feathers due to DNA being mixed with froggies. So that is the excuse that they later came up with. As well as John Woo in, I think, the first movie, gave some lip service to the idea that they were intentionally altered to be scarier. And that if they weren't to do that, these animals would look very different or something like that. So the real reason, though, is because, I mean, it was bringing... Jurassic Park in 1993 was bringing you the latest and greatest from paleontology in 1983. And then it just never moved on from there until the most recent movie where they did add a few feathers here and there. And yeah, I know that they had spines in like Jurassic Park 3 or whatever. I don't care. Those weren't real feathers. Those were just little
Shoot, I
spines.
forgot about those on the Velociraptors. Yeah, the Deinonychus Velociraptors. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like,
I forgot about
okay,
that.
we gave them a few little like spiky bits on their neck. Like, okay, cool, thanks. They probably should have looked more like, just birds, right? Like with full plumage. No? Okay, never mind.
Because he would have to be updated with the new scientific discoveries. Discoveries like never finding feathers on T-Rexes, but we should...
But, on Dylong and Eutyrannus, so just ignore the fact that that's the case. I mean, literally, he's basically like saying, look, I know that we found fur in brown bears and black bears and Andean bears and polar bears and sun bears, but how do you know that the American short-faced bear had fur? And I say, well, you already mentioned the spectacled bear, and that's in the same subfamily. Well, I don't know. We haven't found that short-faced bear fur, so I think your reconstruction of it having fur is kind of speculative. Okay, cool. I'm still gonna do it though. Like, it's far more reasonable than not doing it. Now, look, putting feathers on T-Rex is not as well supported as putting it on, say, the American short-faced bear, but it's not that far off.
it in the movie anyway. What's a thinking Christian to do?
Same thing as anyone else, except the scientific evidence. Like, literally, just do that. You don't have to not do that. Most Christians do that. In fact,
I think Charles Jackson was like sincerely asking. He has no idea what thinking Christians would do in the situation.
that's a good point. Yeah, I don't think he knows a whole lot of thinking Christians. So, Alex Markle says spectacled bears are short-faced bears. That is why I pointed out they are in the same family, Tremarctinae, and why I said the American short-faced bear, as in the extinct giant short-faced bear of North America.
You're right, nerd.
Yeah, take that. That's actually why one of the episodes of my Power Rangers Jungle Beast Let's Play on my other channel is called Tremarctinae, and it's the episode with the spectacled bear.
What do we tell our kids in Sunday school, in youth group?
I know where my towel is. Good. That means you're a hoopy fruit. For $2 says we're looking for movies. We're looking to movies for our science facts. So I think if you were to press Jackson on this, what he would say is less that people look to that for their science facts, and more that as a result of it being part of pop culture, it pervades the public consciousness, and therefore is more likely to have an impact in sort of a background sort of way, and less that people are actively looking to movies like Jurassic Park for their science. I suspect that's what he would say if I pressed him on that. Do I know that that's what he'd say? No, but maybe I'm just being generous to him. Asked him mesothermy, do you mean room temperature? I'm sorry, I said raccoon. Ryu for $4.99 says most Christians do that, but DAPA, evangelicals are the only Christians because something anti-Catholics drama and sarcasm. Yeah, I mean, you're right about that. Actually, I was on Twitter the other day, and someone was asking, like, how come all these American evangelicals don't care about all the Christian Palestinians who are getting killed? And it said, well, it's because of the wrong kind of Christian. Evangelical Christians, like, don't think Catholics count as Christians, and these people are Orthodox, and they just think that the Orthodox are just Catholics with funnier hats. Like, that's it. Like, that's their conception of Christianity. You've got, like...
So there's...
No, go ahead.
No, you finish.
No, I just go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say, probably because they're just brown people out in the desert.
I mean,
Who
yeah,
cares?
there's some of that too.
That's
Even though
probably their response.
they're not actually in the desert, but you know, it looks like a desert now because of all the bombs.
Yeah.
It's actually a very fertile area.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I missed a super chat. I did. I'm sorry. For $4.99, Roshan, non-flocculated Keller, says ostriches are scary as hell when they get aroused for humans. Luckily, I've never encountered anything like that firsthand. Actually, I think the closest I ever got to a live ostrich was at a fossil museum somewhere along like I-10 between New Mexico and Arizona, like in that like area where you're right around the border, around the Painted Desert. And there was a fossil museum run, as far as I could tell, by just one person. And she had, I think, 2 or 3 ostriches that were just in it behind a chain link fence. And I just walked up to it and looked at the ostriches, and then went in, asked for directions to a nearby gas station, bought myself, I think, like a shark's tooth, and got a free trilobite with it, because I felt bad going in and asking for directions and then not actually, you know, paying her anything. I felt like it would be polite of me to buy something, so I bought a cheap-ass shark tooth. Yeah, and I think that's the closest I've ever personally been to an ostrich. Was at that weird fossil shop in the middle of nowhere, Arizona, just on the Arizona side of the Arizona-New Mexico border. So, and it had a whole bunch of those fake mosasaur jaws that they make in Morocco, where they take real mosasaur teeth, because those are everywhere, and they put them onto a sculpted, like, cement jaw that is extremely fake. But, you know, they sell well. It wasn't the only fake fossil that was in there, by the way. So, if you ever go to a private fossil shop that's run by a non-expert, maybe bring someone who knows what they're talking about with you, so you don't get scammed. As to mesothermy, do you mean room temperature view? For $4.99 says, also, that's a good point. Fertile Crescent? Not if the IDF can help it. Thanks, fundies. Yeah, the IDF... It's like, hey, why are you doing a whole bunch of ethnic cleansing? Well, first of all, I don't think it's ethnic cleansing. Okay, cool. Why, though? We want that land. Yeah, what are you going to do with the land after you bomb the crap out of it? It's going to be useless. And the answer is that they won't have any of the undesirables in their land, because that's what's actually going on.
At Christian schools and homeschooling, when this stuff comes up, National Geographic,
How much higher can his voice go? National Geographic!
Well, it depends on how many, like, fake fossils he can look at, I guess.
It's just weird that his voice just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. Eventually it's going to, like, exit the realm of human hearing, and all the dogs are going to start getting upset.
If you put, like, Archaeoraptor, Piltdown Man, and, like, Nebraska Man, like, back to back to back, like, his voice, it was like ultrasonic, you know?
Exactly. Donald Jaramillo for $2 says, Carl Sagan wrote about a dolphin aroused for human. Yeah, that does happen. It also happens with orangutans. So, you know.
Da-da-dun-da-dun-dun, those TV specials, you know, hey, Calypso, the places you've been to, John Denver song about Jacques Cousteau, and...
Okay, we've seen the audience.
What are we talking about at this point?
This audience is mostly kids from, like, the 2010s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about Jacques Cousteau. Jackson, you're too young to remember who Jacques Cousteau is.
I mean, I've read about him, but yeah, like, he's definitely... This is definitely jokes that aren't landing with the audience because they have no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's making, like, boomer pop culture references, right? Like, dude, what's next? Are you going to ask them what their favorite episode of I Dream of Jeannie is? What are you talking about, my guy? These are like a bunch of teenagers who were born in, like, the late 90s and early 2000s. Know your audience, man. Know your audience. I'm taking a drink. This is too much. Man. Hey, did you catch that last episode of The Honeymooners they aired? Wasn't that a gas?
What about was it Gilligan's Island?
Oh yeah, hey, Gilligan's Island, classic.
Yeah.
All the kids
Mhm.
watch Gilligan's Island.
Oh,
it's-
hello, fellow kids.
I too am an enthusiast of television. Let me tell you about the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Roshan,
Murder, She Wrote.
Roshan,
Which actually, I really like Murder, She Wrote. So
Look, there's a lot of really good older shows out there. Murder, She Wrote was pretty darn good. Roshan, a non-flocculated Keller for $1.99 says, the animal kingdom agrees. Humans are sexy. Good job, humans. You did it.
yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, that National Geographic. And all that yellow bordered magazine that you can get them, they weigh 1,000,000 tons, but you can buy them back issues at the antique stores. I'm American. I used to be a member of the National Geographic Society, just like George Bailey. Hey, dummy, I'm a member of the National Geographic Society. Don't
I'm sorry, was that
Again, the audience, man.
was that a It's a Wonderful Life reference? With George Bailey? That's the main character in that, isn't it?
I think you're right.
Oh my
I believe
goodness.
you are correct.
Dude,
Let me-
is
yeah, It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah. Mhm.
is Charles is Charles Jackson actually a time traveler from the past who just never encountered media made after the year like 1960 or something? Like, what is happening?
He pulled a what was it, Rip Van Winkle? It's like fell asleep, and now it's like 40 or 50 years later.
Seriously, yeah.
And he's like,
the
hey, all
vibe
the
he gives
kids.
off.
Yeah.
Heather Evolution of Forkspoon for $4.99 says Jacques Cousteau was an old man when I was a kid. Yeah, Jacques Cousteau. I mean, he's before almost everyone's time. He's like, yeah, jeez. Jake, insert clever dapper inside joke here. Nelson, who's been a member for 19 months, says, fun fact, you can sing Amazing Grace to the tune of Gilligan's Island theme song. You're welcome. Actually, there's a whole lot of things. You can, there's a whole lot of poems you can sing to that song. It turns out that basically the lyrics in that song are just in a common meter that's used in all sorts of poetry and other songs, which means anything else composed in that meter will also fit that song. Savage Pinnipetasaurus Cobra for $5 says his pop culture references are as up to date as the average young Earth creationist citation. I love that because it's extremely accurate. Yeah, that's true. Goodness. You know what? Okay. Chuck, if you ever watch this, I will offer to go through some touchstones of like later pop culture references. I'll at least get you into like the 90s if you want. You know? At least get you out of like the 60s and the 50s and the 60s, right? Get you into like maybe some 70s stuff. Get you some of the greatest movies of the 80s. Get you into some cool stuff from the 90s. And at least get you to the point where at least your adult audience members might know what the heck you're talking about.
you know where coconuts come from. It's America. Like apple pie and Chevrolet and baseball and hot dogs. National Geographic, it's part of our science culture in our country. How could we do this? And it reminds me of a scene from Star Wars where, you know,
hey, we're out of the 50s and the 60s. Hooray! We're finally into the 70s and the 80s. My Unfinished Journey for 666 says, Hail Nero, Hail Dapper, and Hail Good Jackson. And I really enjoyed the episode when they almost got off the island, but Gilligan screwed it up. Yeah, that one. That was a very good single episode. That one that never happened again. I actually really liked the movie, which I'm not even going to say spoiler alerts because it's a movie that came out decades and decades ago. But where they actually do get off the island, and then they people throw a big parade for them, and the Howells are back to their mansions and whatnot. And then they decide to do like a pleasure cruise, is like together to reunite, and they end up back on the same island at the end of the movie.
Oof.
Yeah, that was fun. And they also recast Ginger, which really sucked because movie Ginger isn't as good as show Ginger. Sorry, whoever you are, actress, but look, they recast an iconic role, right? It's like it would be like watching The Wrath of Khan, except they like recast Spock. I mean, what are you doing? Roshan, non-flocculated killer, says for $4.99, you think Bad Jackson's out of date? Kent would talk about the jazz singer. Yeah, okay, that's probably true. Cambrian Giraffe Polystrate Fossil Newsletter, who's been a member for 14 months and is at the amniote level, says, is Van Jackson the RC of pop culture references? Yeah, possibly. He might be the Richard Carrier of pop culture. At least with the Star Wars, it's something it's a franchise that has remained relevant. So most kids have seen Star Wars, whereas I feel like most kids haven't seen like Columbo. I mean,
well, I don't. The funny thing is, like, a lot of like his memes, the memes of that show are pretty prevalent. Which I don't know. I just think it's very funny.
yeah, the memes stuck around, but like, when was the last time you actually watched?
Most kids probably have
Columbo?
not watched it.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I saw an episode of Columbo. I don't even know where I would go looking.
Oh, I know where I could find it because I know where everything can be found.
Fair enough.
Luke is in the camo swinging through the vines like Tarzan with Yoda on his back like a backpack, and Yoda's going, through the Force, many things shall you learn. The future, you shall see the past.
I'll be honest, not the worst Yoda impression.
And he's long gone.
I-
You know, he's
I just had a thought about the when I said that. It made me think about the line from The Office. I know where the wall goes. When you turn your back, the wall isn't there. You don't know where it goes. I know where the wall goes.
teaching Luke
Sorry.
about the Force, and Luke and him sit down, they take a break, and they're resting on a rock, and, you know, Yoda's just doing the peaceful Yoda look out into space and all, and Luke has got this look on his question. It's like, you know, he's about to ask where do babies come from or something. It's a difficult, uneasy question, and he goes, Master Yoda? I mean, Luke knew about the Sith.
Jeez, dude, you were taking way too long to just tell us the plot of Star Wars Episode 5. What are you doing? What does this have to do with anything?
And he knew about the
I'm
Jedi.
gonna skip
He knew
ahead a little
about seductive, not strong. Sometimes we creationists feel that way.
Okay,
We
great.
know we're vastly outnumbered in the scientific community.
223 et al. for $2 says millennials are having a Columbo renaissance. Wait, are they? Is that a thing? I haven't been informed about this. Ask the mesothermy, do you mean room temperature? Ryu for $1.99 says, not a bad Yoda, minus the lack of Yoden. Yeah, look, the voice is fairly reasonable. The grammar, you know, it takes a lot of practice to go like so against the grain of English grammar. In fact, I actually once like sat down and wrote out like Yoda's syntax rules, and because I'm a giant nerd and not a linguist.
Allegedly.
Yeah, well, I have the lack of degree to back it up.
Even those of us with doctoral degrees, you know, we got Dr. Falling, and
Dude, let's remember, your doctorate is an education. It's not in any scientific field. It's not in mathematics. It's an education. Now, that's not to knock education doctorates, but that's a doctorate in knowing how to impart information to people. Not a doctorate that makes you an expert in any actual academic field, apart from how to get other people to learn things. Savage Pinnipetasaurus Cobra for $5 says, I suspect it takes less time to watch a movie than to have it described by Bad Jackson. You know, that's a good question. We should, I will let other people investigate that, because I would be bored out of my skull.
He's gonna throw references to like Twilight Zone or something in there.
Oh my goodness, yeah, maybe. Do you think maybe if I made a like Un Chien Andalou reference, do you think Charles Jackson would get it?
Oh, what reference?
Oh, that's before Jackson's time, huh?
Say it one more time.
Un Chien Andalou.
I don't know that one.
It's one of the earliest films out there. How about Le Voyage dans la Lune? One of the first sci-fi and first space movies ever made.
I have not seen it. Sorry.
Well, if you watch, one of my videos is currently in early access, actually contains an entire version of it sped up so that it fits within the clip, but it's the entire movie because it's public domain because it was
That's
made.
the one where it's like the face on the moon and the rocket like flies into it, right?
Yeah, the rocket lands in its eyeball.
Yes. Okay. I have seen that one. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you think you would get that reference if I made a reference to that?
Are you gonna make the reference right now?
No.
Oh.
I'm just wondering if Charles Jackson would get that reference because all his references are so dated.
Probably. I mean, that's probably like, slightly older material for him.
Only slightly, though. Chris McDaniel for $5 says, at the CMI Museum, after saying they didn't believe in evolution, they played a movie that mentioned climate change, and it had Jean-Pierre Cousteau. That is... wait, like, were they trying to say that... Did he not believe in climate change? What's happening? I don't know. Was he a famous climate change denier? Because I actually don't know very much about his work.
I do.
We got Dr. White and we got Dr. Me and then there's the other people who know a ton of stuff that are self-learned, which, hey, I give full credit for that. The doctor only, I use it like Paul's Roman citizenship and his degree from Pharisee University.
You mean that you kind of just use it to get one over on people? I mean, okay, look, I don't think that Charles Jackson has ever used his doctorate to get out of being stoned to death. So I actually don't think he uses it like Paul used his Roman citizenship. Because that's the only time in Acts that Paul uses his Roman citizenship in any particular way. Is to have the Roman soldiers who show up because there's a big riot and they're going to stone him and say, hey, you should take me away because I appeal to Caesar because I'm a Roman citizen, so you had to take me to Rome, and so these guys can't stone me right now because no one can execute a Roman citizen unless it's actually part of the whole Roman judicial system, and I can appeal to Caesar. Yeah, that's how we used it. I don't think that Charles Jackson has ever been like, no, hey guys, I know that you would like to throw rocks at my head until I die, but have you considered that I have a PhD? Pretty sure that hasn't happened.
I don't know. The more I listen to him, the more I might believe that's true.
Okay, you have a point there. Goodness. Nemaz for $10 says, say what you want, what you will about the 60s, but I challenge you to name another decade in which NASA paid for a science experiment to give LSD to dolphins and jack them off. All right. I am not complaining about the 60s as a decade. I am just pointing out that pop culture references from the 60s are certainly not going to be resonating with Charles Jackson's average audience. So, he was the nephew of Jacques Cousteau. Yeah, but was he a climate denier though? Says Chris McDaniel. Sorry. All right, here we go.
And he would use it. He would use it to open doors and get people's attention. He could speak all these different languages. He'd address the crowd in their language, and they went, wow, he learned our...
Wait, do we have a lot of evidence of Paul speaking things that aren't Greek or probably Aramaic? I don't remember that. Look, if anyone can remember a time in, say, Acts where Paul is unambiguously described as speaking a language that isn't Greek or Aramaic, and it also isn't just part of a speaking in tongues thing, please let me know. Did he just regularly go around speaking Nabatean Arabic or Latin or Persian or something? Because I don't remember any stories about that, but I guess it's not impossible. I mean, people could learn those languages.
Our language. So I use it like Paul used his Roman citizenship too. Is it legal for you to beat a Roman citizen like this? What? Yeah, because the Roman guard knew he could get actually put in prison for doing that, and a Roman citizen was very, very important. So being in Mensa.
I'm calling that a
He
confirmed
didn't
prediction.
get a single laugh.
Yeah, we're going to take a drink for the single laugh, and also, or not a single laugh. Also, someone in chat said, don't stone me, I'm in Mensa. And I'm calling that as a confirmed prediction from the chat.
Oh, nobody laughed at that.
No, they didn't. Nor should they have.
No one laughed.
No.
Okay.
Oh, we got a few laughs right at the end there. All right, here's what's going to happen, guys. I'm going to go take a quick intermission. I'm going to get myself a fresh can. Well, by fresh, I just mean right out of the refrigerator, still very cold. Can of hard Mountain Dew. This time it'll probably be watermelon. And I will be back in just a few minutes. And in the meantime, hopefully, you can hear the dulcet tones of one Beethoven, who has a Patreon linked in the description. Go check that out if you're interested. Okay, we are back. Thank you for sticking with us. Those of you who did, which looks like most people, Roshan, non-flocculated Kaler. I can't talk. Roshan, non-flocculated Keller. There we go. For $1.99 says, Paul initially only complained about truck-kun. Maybe he spoke Japanese. Seems very unlikely, though. Let's see. We also have Corey Godby pointing out in 1 Corinthians 13:1, though I speak in the tongue of men and angels, but have not love, I have become a sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. See, to me, though, that says that what he's saying is that even if you speak in tongues, if you lack the faith that he's giving to the churches he's founding, then it doesn't mean anything. Because, it was well-known fact that people of all sorts of different faiths at the time would go and speak in tongues. So to me, that doesn't actually indicate that Paul is being shown speaking a language that isn't one you would expect him to speak. Oh no, I think there's a incoming severe weather warning, probably flash flooding. So, yeah, that's probably coming up soon. I think I just heard it on another phone, so fun. So guys, now that I'm back from the break, I do want to say this channel is almost entirely supported directly through the generosity of my viewers. If not for you joining the Patreon, joining the channel membership, gifting memberships, giving super chats, super stickers, super thanks, buying merch, getting me stuff occasionally from the Amazon wishlist, this channel just wouldn't exist in the form that it does today. And yeah, look at that. Emergency alert, severe National Weather Service flash flood warning is in effect for this area until 10 p.m. This is a dangerous and life-threatening situation. Do not attempt to travel unless you are fleeing an area subject to flooding or under an evacuation order. Fun. I love the monsoon season. Anyway, if you would like to send money in order that I do not have to worry too much about flood damage, I guess. I don't know. We have a few ways for you to do that. The first one is the Patreon. The Patreon is where I get to keep most of the money, so it's the one I really recommend people do if they can. It starts at $1 a month. You can go all the way up to $100 a month. There's a 15% discount if you go annual on that. There's also the channel memberships. Those start at $1.99. That can go all the way up to $20, or maybe it's $19.99. I don't know. I'm rounding to the nearest dollar. With that, as well as the Patreon, you get early access to my scripted videos. You get access to the cool Discord server that's just for supporters, and higher tiers get you higher perks. Also, if you're a member, you get access to basically once a month. You can do essentially a free super chat, or well, more literally a super chat at no additional charge. You can also gain access to the various channel emojis. And Savage Pinnipetasaurus just gifted 5 more memberships, which we will take drinks for after I'm done with the quick spiel. If a monthly or an annual donation or pledge is not your deal, if you're like, nah, I'm actually going to give to like my favorite presidential campaign this year, okay, cool. Or if you just can't afford it, also, please don't give me money. But if you do want to help out financially, but that's just not really your thing, there's a merch store linked in the description, as well as right below this video. There is also, I have an Amazon wish list, as does Beethoven, linked in the description, where you can just get us a few things. Remember that thank you I said at the beginning of the stream to Matthew? That was stuff that he got me from the wish list. So, and of course, whether or not you can afford to help out financially, one thing that's always appreciated from everyone is liking my videos, sharing my videos, and watching a few of my videos in a row, and even commenting. All of that helps me out with the algorithm. So with that, Jackson, are you going to be any more ready anytime soon to listen to Bad Jackson?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
You remember the prophets of Baal got together, Elijah was there, and Elijah says, when all the people are there, he goes, how long will you halt between two opinions? If the Lord be God, then worship him. But if Baal be God, then worship him. And the Bible says, proud of everyone in the congregation, not churches.
That's an interesting story. Remember that other story when the forces of God were arrayed against the forces of Chemosh, and then the king of the city that was worshiping Chemosh sacrificed his son in order to arouse Chemosh to action, and then Chemosh was able to defeat Yahweh because Yahweh's forces were on Chemosh's land. Or that time that, the forces of God
Is
were
that a
defeated
story that happened?
Yeah, that's a thing in the Bible.
Wait, what is that one called?
I don't know what people normally call it. but it's a story
Okay,
that's
no,
in
I hadn't
there.
heard that. That's crazy.
Yeah, or the time that the Lord was with the armies of Israel, but their enemies had iron chariots.
Oh, the Iron Chariots. Yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
I mean, if he can cherry pick out the Elijah story, why can't I cherry pick out the times when God is defeated by other people?
That's right. I do remember that.
Yeah, it's because the Bible doesn't actually depict God as omnipotent, at least not in the Old Testament.
Most Christian colleges and universities on this evolution, answering not a word, not wanting to appear
I
stupid.
don't think that's
in the
true.
eyes
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure if you went to most Christian colleges, they'd be like, yeah, evolution's true. And if you're going to be like a biologist, you need to accept this fact.
yeah. Oh, I didn't drink for the Savage Pinniped gifts, and also Keller Otellian, who's been a member for 24 months and is at the amulet level, says the Mensa stuff is possibly the most embarrassing thing I regularly see a creationist say that isn't creationism with a Godzilla. Yeah, I agree. And then Matthew Stein for 199 says, damn, I missed the beginning of the stream. Oh, that's too bad. Look, you might, well, actually, you probably can't catch up on double speed, but you could come close. But hey, let's take 6 drinks here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, here we go.
fear of man, fear of man. With a fear of who is the beginning of wisdom? Fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. Most people don't know there's another verse there in Proverbs. Fear of the Lord is the beginning. Our knowledge is a ciencia.
Oh my goodness. Hey, Jackson, did you know that the etymological fallacy is a fallacy?
Sounds true.
Yeah, it turns out you can't learn what a word means just by knowing where it comes from. Cool. I'm going to take a drink for that. Science in modern English does not mean knowledge, even if it comes from a Latin word scientia, which meant knowledge, and which also goes into some Romance languages as la ciencia. That's not how languages work. You cannot simply look at a word's origin and determine what it means now. Donald Jaramillo for $2 says these gods were originally part of one pantheon. So part of the problem there is that the idea of a pantheon is, as we conceive of it now, is also not something that was people at the time really thought of it. Like, they didn't really think of, like, well, these are the Greek gods and these are the whatever gods. It was like, these are just, the gods here and the gods there, and sure, they probably all exist. But yeah, they were, so it's a little complicated, right? Like, the name Yahweh seems to probably not have come from the area that became central to his worship, but he does seem to be a fairly early sort of like migrant into the ancient Near East, like Semitic pantheon. And from there, he goes on to become conflated with Elyon, the high god of the sort of like Northwest Semitic speaking peoples. And from there, he then kind of goes on to become the only god worshipped by his people, without really necessarily rejecting the existence of other gods in the ancient Near East. I don't know why I'm saying Northeast. And from there, later on, we develop ideas that maybe God is, or the God of the Bible is the only God. And it's not clear exactly when that starts, but it seems like it's probably after the New Testament is finished, or the last book of the New Testament is written, or maybe slightly before, because it's possible maybe the author of Revelation thought of the God of Christianity as the only God. So yeah, it's the whole history of the development of the exclusive claim of existence to the God of the Bible is actually kind of complicated, and the whole history of like Yahweh as a divine figure is pretty complicated. So, hooray! And of course, I'm also not a biblical scholar, but you know what? I think Kip Davis might be in the chat. Maybe ask him. He would know more than I would.
Hey, Kip.
Our Spanish. So in German, it's Wissenschaft. Wissenschaft just means knowledge.
Okay.
So think, Christian people, old and young and everything in between. What are you going to do?
Hey, Jackson, would you rather
Yes, sir.
trust a magazine that definitely gets things wrong, but that overall tries to give people a reasonably accurate view of the scientific consensus on biology, about biology?
Okay.
Or would you rather trust the book that says that if animals mate in front of stripy sticks, that they'll have stripy offspring? Which of those two books would you trust for your biology information?
Probably usually the former.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Roshina, non-flocculated Keller for $4.99 says, Dapper really wants to go to the Northeast. Will Maine have you? I mean, they've had me before. Last time I was in Maine, I got some really, really good lobster rolls. Like, really
Nice.
good. Yeah. That's actually why I was in Maine. I was there with a friend of mine. I was going to be, like, moving out of the area, like Massachusetts, not too long. And it turns out that she ended up moving out of the area not that long after. But, yeah, we had never gone to Maine together. We had both gone separately. So we basically just decided to pack up and go to Maine, and it was not during the tourist season, so like most of the touristy stuff was shut down, the beaches were shut down and whatnot. But there was a park. The park had a food truck great.
Sounds
Some
like
old World War II fort that hadn't been in